welcome. I didn't think I was going to make a video this week, but things are growing so fast and changing. I thought I'd better have a garden tour and show you how things are going. Starting with this once grassy meadow that I have been working on from about this time last year to convert it into flower garden is actually starting to look quite gardeny. It's really nice. So I'm going to flip you around and we'll take a walk and see how the rest of it is looking now. So this is what I started with 18 months ago. I'll try not walk too fast. There we go. So the first bit we come to is actually quite recent patch that's been covered with cardboard and grassy mulch, and the little white tent is protecting my sunflowers. Oh, this big tree here is a Paulownia. It's not that big actually, it's probably about 5 foot tall maximum at the moment anyway. So I did get round to planting some of my sunflowers. Oh, bash the camera. And they're sitting in this little tent.
They're in here to protect them from the deers and the rabbits till they get a bit bigger.
Step just to the side of it.
This was once tall grass.
Things are starting to look like a garden. It's wonderful. Especially with this old established hollyhock centre of display at the moment. Now this black compost bin here actually has another hollyhock inside of it. I noticed yesterday it's suffering from rust. Fungus, it is a fungus, leaves little spots on the leaves. Taking a picture, I'll show you that. So here's the underside of a particularly bad leaf. It's got an awful lot of little spore patches on it. On the front of the same leaf we can just see these little dots of yellow, which is what actually first alerted me to the fact we had a problem with these little yellow dots. So today I've removed all of its affected leaves and I've stuffed it in this bin because I've also sprayed it with a fungicide. I don't think it's an organic fungicide, but I want to get rid of this rust and save the rest of my hollyhocks from catching it, because just up here this nice pink one is immaculate, not a mark on it yet. So hopefully I've tackled the problem just in the nick of time. I forgot to say it's sitting in this bin because I have just sprayed it on this hot sunny day with fungicide, and if I leave it out in the sunshine the leaves it has got left are going to get burnt. Looking up this way is the dahlias. They're finally coming through and showing themselves. Now the lovely yellow flowery one was only again put in yesterday. It had been in a pot in the polytunnel, so it had a bit of a head start. But the rest of them you can see were actually planted in that space in late spring. They took an awful long time to start breaking through the surface. I was beginning to think they were dying off and rotting, but no, they've survived. They're here, they're finally coming up. So where are we going? Back around. Breadseed poppy that put itself here. Some gladioli coming up. Scanning round. This bed I planted yesterday. That tall plant is a mallow and it's not looking very happy at all. I've given it bucketfuls of water, but it's still looking miserable. It was the only thing I dug up though and transplanted here. Everything else was in a pot. It's faring much better. Let's go and have a look at that hollyhock. So yes, here's my freshly sprayed hollyhock sitting in its compost bin to give it some shade. And oh, here we go, I'll show you these. So this funny little setup I've got going on here is also providing shade. So I've got a heuchera in here, a bear's breeches under this one, and some ground cover under that one. The ground cover was really suffering when I first put it in. It's doing very nicely with that extra bit of shade. Once they've settled in and got their roots down nice and deep, they'll be fine. It's just been so scorching hot. The rest of this bed is settling in nicely. As I say, if we look up, we're starting to look a bit more garden-like. Now I've actually been working. Oh, let's move that. Oh. These oxeye daisies were already on the corner of this bed when I first created it. So I've just mulched around them. Now here, things are looking a bit rough. They've had the same treatment. Cut the grass, laid down cardboard, added grassy mulch. We've got quite a few thistles coming up through it all. So I'm going to take my thick heavy gloves, pull out the thistles and put some more mulch on top. So yeah, if I get myself back here, let's reorientate us. Here's the sunflowers in their protective tent till they get a bit bigger. Right in front of us is a Merryweather damson. It's got quite a few damsons on it this year. Where's my finger? Lost it. Oh, there we go. So over here we have the dahlias, and it is looking very gardeny. So if we head back down to the dahlias, try not to jump you around too much. Past the big hollyhock. And head down this track. Come to another section I've been working on. I'm going to spin us round. Oh, I've forgotten what this is called. That's annoying. It'll come to me. Oh my goodness. Complete mental blank. I cannot remember its name. Looking wonderful. I've been keeping my eye out for any signs of damage from the sawfly, but so far, nothing. Got the odd little hole that was there very early on. It may have been sawfly, or someone suggested it might have just been slugs and snails. Oh, that doesn't look good in there. That big long strip. Can't see anything. I can't remember this plant's name. That's really annoying. As we walk off down the garden, it will come to me. So, now back down the track, heading for a big patch of oxeye daisies. Here, there's another area I have already been preparing. This square patch wants doing as well, but I've left it because I wanted all the foxgloves to do their thing. And there were also a big patch of daffodils in this bed, so I'll need a bit more care when I cover that. It's not an empty space. And I am just starting working today on this next area here. The area's been mown. I started pinning down my cardboard, ready to go and cut some grass and cover it. Oh, and this patch of brambly stuff is some young slow bushes that were growing in the rough patch I've just cut. So they'll be going up to the bonfire. They're all spiky and prickly.
Carrying on down the track and around this corner.
And here's a patch I did yesterday. So gradually I'm taking over this meadow with sections of garden beds. All my walking path areas have been marked and cut and mown. I just have to flatten the meadow and get it cardboard and mulched. Find enough perennials to fill it with. It's a long way up to the polytunnel. It's just suddenly come to me. Solomon's seal is what this plant is called. I couldn't for the life of me remember its name earlier. Anyway, it's doing very nicely, and I've not noticed any major signs of the sawfly that usually troubles this plant, which is great news. Another patch of oxeye daisies. Ooh, I notice in the middle of them is an evening primrose. Where are we? Right about here. Very nice. This big tall palm tree looking thing had a flower spike on it this year. I haven't had a chance to put it in a video. I did take some photos though, so I'll pop them in here.
Here it is a few weeks ago in full bloom. It's a massive flower head with lots of little tiny white flowers on it.
The flower spike's as big as the top of the tree.
Here we are back where we started, up at the new bit of garden meadow.
Where are we going? Pumpkin patch. No idea what this looks like on film. I'm not used to walking with a camera. Usually have you sat on a tripod. My shoes are squeaking. Right, so another job I did yesterday is I see the squashies are desperately trying to escape from their netting. But I wasn't brave enough to take all the nets off yet. Not with Mr. Deer roaming around. I had to take the green netting off from around this Crown Prince because he was starting to grow through the gaps. So I needed to take it off so I could get it off without snapping him. So yesterday evening I took the net off this middle patch, but I've still pinned it up behind it just as a bit of a flappy distraction. Hopefully keep things away. I might risk doing the same with these two beds on either side, two patches. Take the netting tents off, but still have them propped up just behind the pumpkin patch. We've got flowers coming. These have done amazingly well. I watered them once, and only once since I've planted them, and it has been ridiculously scalding hot here. I don't know if we're all males or if we've got any fruit. I think I saw a fruit yesterday. Where was that? First of the squash fruits. I don't know what it's a fruit of. It's a squash. And whether it'll set. Okay, let's get these nets off. Oh, look, little tiny bunches of grapes coming on the grapevine. I don't know what variety of grape this is. I've had it for so many years. They don't get very large. The grapes grow to about the size of a blackcurrant, but they taste amazing. Oh, I see the buddleias in flower over there. So much to look at. That's the first time I've noticed it. Very nice. As well as the damson, I've got this cherry plum dripping with fruit. They're still a bit rock hard at the moment. It won't get any bigger than this. They are plum tasting fruits the size of a large cherry. There are loads this year. The tree is dripping with them. How many I'll get before the birds spot them, I don't know. With them being red coloured, perhaps they've already tried and decided they're not worth eating. Well, nothing seems to have troubled the pumpkins last night, so I'm going to risk it and take the nets off the other two pumpkin patches. I'm not taking them completely away though. I'm going to leave the nets here, flapping about in the breeze. Hopefully make the wildlife feel a little nervous of this movement.
Going round my tent of netting, removing various planks of wood and logs of tree that's been holding it down. Scoop it all up and reposition it just behind the pumpkins. As I said, I want to leave it flapping around a bit, hopefully to put them off.
I'm hoping the squash plants are big enough now not to be troubled by much, though I have left their white tenty netting still flapping about nearby, just to put the wildlife off. I need to take the nets off to let the insects get in and pollinate everything, or I won't get any fruits. This one here with its beautiful patterned leaves is my mystery sweet corn squash. It is not a sweet corn. I'm loving that mottled effect on the leaves though. Very nice. My little tiny potato patch is doing nicely. Still very green and no sign of any flowers yet, I don't think. At the end of their bed are the leeks and onions that I leave in every year. I like the look of the flowers, and so do the bees. They're very popular. Tea time in the fish pond. That it? Crazy mad minute over. I've got a whole stack of melons in pots. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They need to go somewhere pretty soon. Either that or a bigger pot and a bit of a stick to climb up. The melons I planted in the polytunnel. They're settling in nicely and have lots of little flowers. I've not had a real close look. I don't know if I've got any melons yet. Oh, we'll stop. Sweet corn getting taller than me. So 5.5 foot. Oh, I see the end. We have tassels coming. Tassels? No, pollen bits at the top. I don't know which variety this melon is, but he's getting nice and large, trailing off up the path. And winding up this blue string next to it is a cucumber plant who needs another twist. Do have tiny cucumbers. Well, cucumber fruits with flowers on the end. There's no guarantee they're going to set yet. Till that flower's dropped off and the cucumber starts to get fat. We can't guarantee we're going to get it. This second cucumber's got cucumbers though. Look at that! Yay! It's only about 4 inches long, but wonderful! The tomatoes I planted are settling in nicely as well. They're so much happier to be out of those pots. One set here. And past my dry, crispy peas. There's a second row of tomatoes here. Haven't put strings on them yet. That's getting to be an urgent job. Is that a baby hollyhock? I do believe it is. Nice. That's it. I'm going to end today's garden tour stood by this beautiful hollyhock growing in my new garden space. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Remember, whatever you're doing, have fun doing it.